Hello and welcome once again to Breakfast All Day. It's just me and Matt, although Sabrina is also here at our feet.
Is this our debut location in...
It is. We are podcasting from paradise today in Palos Verdes Estates. Hence, the scenery, for those of you watching on YouTube, is so much more pleasing to the eye and pleasant. And there's sunshine and there are trees and life exists here. Peacocks might wander in. Peacocks roam the streets of Palos Verdes.
That would be awesome.
There was a peahen in our front yard this morning, and Nick was talking to it.
Oh, Sabrina, who is here and under the table, would have lost her mind.
Oh, my God. We have bunny rabbits and geckos and raccoons. So anyway.
We have raccoons.
Do you?
Yeah.
You have trash pandas in the valley?
We do. We do. And then my wife the other day was dragging Sabrina in the house because she thought that the raccoon was... She didn't think Sabrina would be able to hold her own against the raccoon. Oh. Now, I will definitely believe that it would be bad for Sabrina in that that's a good way to get rabies. But Sabrina is a 60-pound, mostly pit bull mix, and I think she would make short work of a trash panda.
She could take him.
Yeah.
She's very sweet. She's at our feet right now. We're going to play a little bit of catch up today because I was out of town for a couple of weeks and it's the end of summer and we're all kind of scrambling. And Alonzo is currently eating gelato in Venice because it tastes better there. Yeah. So we're going to catch up with some movies this week and then we're going to get to one new movie that Matt and I have both seen, which is, and I am not even exaggerating, the worst movie of the year. It really is. Yeah. Like if you have heard the hype about this movie, just trust me, like it's terrible. And yet it must be seen. But we're going to begin by catching up with the movie that was number one at the box office this past weekend. And that is Angel Has Fallen.
Yes.
This is the third in the Has Fallen trilogy. It's a franchise now. Do you need help with your headphones there?
I got it. Things keep falling.
Things fall, and only Gerard Butler is there to pick them up.
Yes.
Do you want to describe what this movie is about?
Sure. So Angel Has Fallen catches Agent Mike Banning, kind of feeling his age, and you definitely see that he's, struggling with past injuries and multiple concussions and taking plenty of pills for the pain and deciding he wants to keep going on. And keep, being the guy at the tip of the spear, even though his body can't really hold up to that. And there's a discussion about him possibly taking over the job as director of the Secret Service once it's Lance Reddick, right? Mm-hmm. Who may be soon retiring. And while out on a boat trip with the president to go fishing, an attack happens, and Mike saves the president, but then is framed for his attempted assassination and hijinks ensue.
Right. And so, so it's this massive Secret Service mission where they are letting the president fish in the peace and solitude of this lake, but they're just sitting ducks out there. And so when the drone attack comes, and the drone attack is pretty cool. It's kind of tense, and the sound design is kind of cool. The zoom, zoom of the drone swarming like evil birds. That part's kind of cool. And everybody just gets obliterated except for Mike Banning. And the president survives because Mike Banning is played by Gerard Butler.
Right.
And
doing the same job. It's the same president, right?
Well, no, he was the vice president previously. Aaron Eckhart was the president in the previous two Has Fallens, and Morgan Freeman was VP.
Wasn't Freeman the president in the last movie?
No, and London Has Fallen, Aaron Eckhart was the president at the beginning.
Right.
And now Morgan Freeman is our president. And Tim Blake Nelson is his VP. Which is your first clue that things might be amiss.
Right, and then you see that at the beginning of the movie, Mike is on this mission. We see this action sequence, this set piece at the very beginning of the movie, that we then see Danny Huston. Mm-hmm. And if you know anything, I think it was Ebert who would talk about the law of economy of casting. Mm-hmm. If you see someone who is recognizable in what would otherwise be a bit role,
yeah, right. Not to give things away, but yeah. I mean, it begins with this big training exercise, which will have some relevance as the film goes on, as far as like who Danny Huston is and what he's capable of with this like private contractor training ground he has. This is it's trying to be, but in the most brutish ways, like a Hitchcockian thriller. Like Gerard Butler is like your classic kind of framed guy having to try to exonerate himself while all the evidence points to him being guilty. Jada Pinkett Smith is the CIA investigator who's the lead on the case, and everything she sees, she's like, this guy is guilty. He's done this. Why is he the only one who survived? And she's not wrong in thinking that. And then it becomes Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade when Nick Nolte shows up as Gerard Butler's long lost, cranky, crotchety dad. Like he's been holed up off the grid somewhere in like the wilds of West Virginia, I want to say.
Yeah, and his dad, left him at a young age because he was suffering from such massive PTSD after Vietnam, and left the family and has been, kind of completely out of Banning's life, but then that's the last person he can go to, and
it becomes like a wacky buddy comedy with the dad.
Stay through part of the credits because
it's so bad.
There's right. I mean, it's yeah.
You're talking about the thing in the water.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's interesting here is there's the action scenes in this movie work, and they're really well staged. Right. There's some scenes in this, like when the movie is moving along and it's doing stuff, and you're having fight scenes and these kind of battle scenes. They're exciting and tense. Like the scene in the office building, I thought was really well done.
Next to the hospital?
Next to the hospital. I thought that was really good. The scene out in the woods with his dad, I thought was pretty well done. The chase scene with the truck.
Right? In the darkness in the woods with this pickup, the semi.
With there's good action in here, and where the movie kind of breaks down is it flirts, it wants to be this story that it has drama and gravitas to it, and it just doesn't, right? Like the script doesn't support the type of drama the movie's trying to do, and I almost wish it would have just stuck with the action. Right,
it's trying to do drama, but it's also trying to do comedy, because they're trying to depict the dad as like this wacky, curmudgeonly figure in his life, although he left the family, and that's sad, and they've got to work through that. But there's a whole like generational kind of friction as far as how you do things like this, and it's trying to be wacky.
You're far better off watching The Fugitive, right? Like The Fugitive is a great example of a guy who's framed, goes for that Hitchcockian thing, and there's something at stake, following Richard Kimball, trying to clear his name and trying to get his life back, as well as there are comic moments coming from Tommy Lee Jones and his team. And as much as they're very effective, him and Joe Pantoliano and the rest of that team, like they get some laughs in that movie, and it lightens it. This one never, like you can see where I feel like that's where this movie aspires to go, and it just never quite hits that.
Yeah, it's a tough kind of balance to pull off. It was directed by Rick Roman Waugh, who was a longtime stuntman and has directed a few things, but I wonder whether you're right, like that kind of like tonal balance between the action and the drama and the comedy is something that it takes some seasoning to pull off tonally.
But he certainly has the staging and the shooting of the sequences down.
Yeah. And again, and the whole scene on the water, on the lake, where the first big attack happens is very tense and edited really well. And
right.
And you feel like you're in the middle of it.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up, because in a lesser director, somebody who couldn't make that scene would have come off as laughable. Right. I mean, there are directors, there are filmmakers who would try that, and it would just have been silly and dumb. And this one, they make it work. Like it's cut. It's not cut overly quickly, but it's cut fast enough. Like you don't get too much like it doesn't, for instance, it doesn't overly focus on the drones, which would have, like, you get one real clear shot of the drones and then that's it. Because I think, for instance, there's directors that would have really focused on that. It's like, oh, they're getting attacked by the toy planes. And
no, they're like an amorphous blob of menace.
Right.
It's the idea of them and the sound of them and the fact that no one knows where they're coming from and all that. It's got, as a really strong cast. I mean, Tim Blake Nelson and Danny Huston and Morgan Freeman is always the president.
Exactly.
And or God. He should be one or the other all the time. So, I guess like the pieces are there. I don't know that the world needs a continuation of this Has Fallen franchise. I suppose that the groundwork is laid somewhat for yet another, if that's what people want to do.
I mean, things are going to fall.
It's gravity. Things fall. Screws fall out all the time. The world's an imperfect place. So I am going to say 3.4.
Is that, what movie is that?
That's from Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
When Judd Nelson is messing with the principal. So I'm saying 3.4.
I'm saying 4.
Okay, we're saying 3.7. So 39% on the tomato meter. Again, it was the number one movie last weekend at the box office, but it's also the end of August. So people are getting ready to go back to school. They're not thinking about going to the movies, but we are, because it's our job. Yes, thank you for that. Angel Has Fallen. We'll do the next Has Fallen when it comes out in 3 years. They come out every 3 years, like Star Wars movies, so we'll probably do that too. I will now do the Alonzo spiel. Thanks so much for watching and for listening. If you have not already, you can find us on all the social media at BeFastAllDay, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/BeFastAllDay, where we do TV recaps and trailers, and you can vote on what movie you want us to review. There's a poll up there right now for our higher level Patreon members. We're going to do some trailers today about some new movies that are coming out. So follow us in all the places and subscribe and tell your friends.
Yes.
And give us we need stars on Apple Podcasts, right?
Sure.
If you like to say nice things, this is a place in which you can do that. Thanks for watching and listening.